We asked you guys this week to tell us who your favorite comic book character is, and if there's a moment that defines them and their values or who they are. It could be a panel, a page, a cover, anything. So let's take a look at what you guys had to say. So Joel said, Solar Man of the Atom, when he finally stops prolonging the life of his love at her request and allows her to die.
That's cool.
That's heavy. Forever Carlisle, as badass as it gets.
Oh, right, Lazarus. That's Greg Rucka and Steve Epting, I believe. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that last one was from David, by the way. Daryl said, this time Howard the Duck ran for president in 1976 at the height of post-Watergate cynicism in the U.S. As Howard put it, why a duck, you ask? Why not a duck? You've had turkeys running this country for 200 years.
That is great. I love that.
Feels very timely.
Mm-hmm.
Sean said, gaze into the fist of dread.
I love that. And you know what? That is Judge Dredd 100%. I actually saw that one pop up quite a few times. So yes, absolutely.
Brian said, this image of the Flash after evacuating over 500,000 people in less than a second has always stuck with me.
Mm.
And James said, put some respect on Kitty's name.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. I love the aggression that on that statement too. Like, yes, I'm with you on that. Astonishing X-Men. Yes, absolutely.
Charles simply put, this.
Yep, Death of Superman. Very nice. Very cool. Very cool. So Ashton, you ready for this? What image, panel, page, cover, whatever it is a defining moment for your favorite character? Let's hear it.
Okay. So of course I picked Archie, and obviously I picked Jughead because who else did I ever pick besides Jughead? And you asked me this recently, why I like Jughead so much. And I kind of, I hit a lot of like the superficial reasons about why I like him, but I kind of like went back through all of my Archie books and managed to find it's 2 panels that hit on exactly what it is about Jughead that's so appealing to me. And it's these 2. And he's having a conversation with Archie, and he tells Archie that if you're going to survive in this world, this is the one thing you need to know. And he says, you are who you are, not what people think you are. Be straight, be weird, be whatever. Just be who you want to be. And if people don't like it, they can suck it. Which is what that's what his shirt's about.
Hey, you know what? Words to live by.
Right. And I think that's really important. And that's the thing about Jughead that I think is so appealing, is that he's so completely authentic to himself and unwilling to bend to anybody else's notions of what they need. He doesn't, bend to, Veronica's drama or Archie's like ridiculousness or, anything in Riverdale. He's always himself. So I think that's the thing that's most appealing. And that he kind of summed it up right there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I too am a big Jughead fan. I've told you before, like I've been a fan of his since way back, since the late 80s. And like, yeah, it was interesting to talk to you about why that is. I don't think I've ever unpacked what it is I like about Jughead, but I kind of have a new appreciation for the character because of that conversation. Actually, the points you pointed out here, like I never even read that. I'm assuming that's the Fiona Staples, Mark Waid run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, see, I didn't even read that run, but I think that embodies Jughead perfectly. He's just kind of, some would say flippant, but it's also kind of like he knows who he is. And he's totally cool with like, burgers and wearing that crown on his head and endorsing Pop's chocolate shop and, all the other stuff that they have added on in the recent years. But he has not really changed as Jughead. He's still Jughead.
No.
I saw a bunch of personal favorites actually float on screen quite a few times. A lot of people reference there's an issue of Spider-Man where Peter Parker visits this sick kid and the kid asks him to take his mask off because he wants to know who Peter Parker is. And actually that's absolutely. That's another great moment for Spider-Man. But for me personally, I had to go, it's kind of an easy answer, but it's also like, it's so obvious too that I was sort of like, yeah, I guess that's really all there is to it. All-Star Superman, there's a great bit, and there's not a lot of lead up to it. It's just Superman going through his day, just being Superman, just being super, just swooping in, saving the day, going from thing to thing. And there's this one girl who's about to commit suicide, and it's like this interesting quiet moment in the middle of the comic, and
Mhm.
she's on the edge of the building and she's looking down, and she drops a note like ahead of her jumping off the building, and Superman just appears behind her out of nowhere, and he kind of like grabs her by the shoulder, like like almost tenderly, not like hey, what are you doing? And he's
Yeah.
just sort of like, you're stronger than you know. And to me, that is
Mm.
Superman. And so when we did that sort of that fascism conversation last week, I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, Superman's not relatable, so of course he's a tool of the government and blah blah blah, and all these really cynical takes on that character. But at
Right.
the end of the day, I think Superman isn't so much, it's not that Superman has to be relatable. It's Superman has to like kind of almost, it's like Superman is it's about what Superman is saying about us. Sorry, I got a little distracted by Johnny's note. Um, but what Superman is saying about
Hmm.
us, and like how that shifts from generation to generation, from decade to decade. But he's ultimately the guy who's just kind of like there to kind of like put his hand on your shoulder and be like, "Hey, we can do better." And that's Superman to me. That
Hmm.
that is all. That totally works for me. I've absolutely loved that depiction of Superman, and I know a lot of people do as well. So there you go. And especially, uh, especially with uncertain times, right? Like
Hmm.
2020 is definitely an uncertain time, right?
Yeah.
I know people. My girlfriend is one of them. She's constantly like, "Why does it matter if like if Peter Parker is this, or why does it matter if Batman is that?" Like they're fictional, right? Which I could understand from the outsider looking in. That is a very valid
Sure.
question. Like I understand why people would ask that, but I kind of like we're so much in this like this postmodernist. I've been reading a lot about postmodernism lately, so forgive me
Okay.
for getting heady here, but like we're in this like this period where like nothing means anything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Where like truth is kind of subjective, and like it's the internet kind of allows people to be whatever they want and at whatever given time. And it's also about like how we project those things on each other. I think it's important that in this period, it's important that these characters stand for something and they were able to continue passing those lessons down to the next
Right.
generation. You know what I mean? And like when I came into comics, these characters were always kind of considered modern myth. Like, they were considered like Hercules or Zeus, you know?
Sure.
And so have always kind of stuck to that notion that what they stand for, what they mean, needs to be held kind of dearly.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, it's that you're able to communicate that to the next generation. Like, well, Superman stands for, look, truth, justice, and the American way, right? But
Right.
what the American way was, right, doesn't have to
Hmm.
be what it is now, but he reevaluates what that is, and he kind of recontextualizes it, but by still being Superman. And therefore, he's saying something about us as well. So
Right.
there you go. That's just my little soapbox for
I
today.
think that's kind of like the point of superheroes, though, just to like not
Yeah.
to draw this out and to add on to what you just
Hmm.
said, but like
Hmm.
superheroes and especially kind of like those core ones that we look at, Superman, Captain America,
Yeah.
Batman, Iron Man, all of those guys, they kind of amplify the best parts of humanity, so to speak,
Absolutely.
or the things that we aspire to, and
Yep.
they kind of create this laundry list, if you will, of things that we should be constantly working towards or be mindful of, and things that really
Hmm.
never go out of fashion, postmodernist or not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like yeah, I'm constantly bugged by this sort of like this, yeah, this again postmodernist take of on everything,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, nothing means anything, like, it's these narrative tools that we had before, we could throw them all out, like, the morals of these stories don't apply to anything anymore. It's all objective.
But
And
that's just not true. I mean, you might
yeah,
feel like a moral doesn't apply, but whenever you read a book or a comic book, a book, consume a movie, whatever, there's always something that hits you like right in the gut that you
yeah,
know it doesn't feel right or it does feel right. And
yeah,
it's appealing to those sense of morality that is in all of us and
yeah.
it's not going to go away just because you want it to.
Hmm. No, absolutely. Like yeah, it's there's there's been this ongoing thread that like that, like running alongside has also been this ongoing thread about superheroes need to be relatable. They need to be relatable, and on some level I understand the argument for that, but I also think that like we can learn things from them.
Mhm.
And I kind of feel like, those lessons are, yeah, they're worth keeping around, and I was really glad to see so many people, actually more people,
Mhm.
way more people who chimed in about this than they did fascism. And it's because everybody has a moment that
Yeah.
defines them, that defines a character that really spoke to them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I'm continually impressed with our viewers and our followers. Every week they surprise me with what they care about and why.